What's up? It's Andrew Grammer today. I'm out here early in the morning. Give me a walk. Try to make that my routine on a daily basis. Get up, walk, do a video. I'm starting this video series to be like a testament to what I believe in, not just my thoughts, period. You know, I don't do written journals or anything like that, so it's more or less me trying to express myself and leave a written record. Something is telling me or inspiring me to leave a written record of my thoughts. A visual, not a written record, but a visual record of my thoughts about what I believe in, what I'm going through, just whatever I'm thinking at the present time. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm in Warsaw, Indiana. First and foremost, if you don't know who I am, just let you know a few little tidbits about myself. My name is Andrew Grammer. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. I grew up there in Chicago, Illinois. What was my upbringing like? Not good. Not good. If you let individuals who were around me at the time tell it, I was a bad kid. I disobeyed my mom on a regular basis. I did a lot of horrible stuff to my family members. I was a jerk. I was an asshole. I was disobedient. I was disrespectful. I didn't mind anybody. That's, if you let them tell it, that's what I was. I was a pervert. I was a whole bunch of stuff when I was young. We ain't gonna talk about that though. We're gonna talk about my perception on how I believe I was when I was young. And I believe I've told this story like millions of times in my music. I used to be a musician, and I used to make music based on my life and based on the lives of the people that I was around in my life. What was I like to myself? I was a good kid. Not a good kid. I was a good kid. Define good kid. Good kid is a person who is naturally inclined to be positive. And I was naturally inclined to be positive in my own personal view of myself. I feel that I was naturally inclined to be a positive individual. How did I end up being doing things in my life that were, I consider mistakes or flaws or faults or something like that? Like anybody else. You know, I came here to this planet, was born, but I wasn't born in the type of environment where everything was positive. So therefore, the people that I was around either had me in an environment where I was able to absorb or see things that were negative, and I ended up repeating them. As a child, growing up, you don't know anything. When you come here to this planet, you don't know anything. All you know how to do is eat, sleep, and cry for food. It is up to your parents, the environment, and the social society that you live in to kind of teach you and educate you to what's right and what's wrong based on their theories or their philosophy of what's right and what's wrong. What was I taught? Well, I was taught a bunch of different things. But if you know Chicago, if anybody, I'll just let you do that on. You could do the homework on that, on what Chicago is about. And then once you do that, you do the information and the education, and the due diligence on what Chicago is like. Then you can kind of the inner city for African Americans. Then you can kind of understand why I made the mistakes that I made. You can kind of understand what I was taught, what I saw in my environment, and it wasn't necessarily taught to me. It was just something that some of it was taught to me, and some of it wasn't. Some of it was, this is the way it is, for whatever reasons. And in order for you to survive or be considered normal or average in that environment, that's what you did, right? It wasn't necessarily, this is what you do or do it. Or sometimes it was like that, but sometimes it was more or less, this is what we do and this is how we do it. And if you want to be considered normal and don't get picked on and don't be bullied for being different, you're going to do this and you're going to do what we're doing. I don't want to make it all doom and gloom though. Once again, I thought that I was a pretty positive child. It's just the environment that I was in at the present time kind of molded me into being something, doing things periodically that I shouldn't have been doing. That now that I'm 42 years of age, now I know I shouldn't have been doing those things. Back then, I didn't particularly know I wasn't supposed to be doing this or doing that. This is the reason why we get older. You know, if you think about it, why do human beings get older? Why don't we just stay babies? Why don't we stay infants? You know, the whole time while we're here? Because it's about growth. In my view and my theory of things, from being 42 years, living on this planet, 42 years old, observing myself and observing others, it's about growth. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to make mistakes. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna say that. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I'm gonna say that there's no person on this planet that came here perfect. And because they didn't come here perfect, you're supposed to make mistakes. You're supposed to make flaws. You're supposed to have faults. Why? Because you're supposed to learn from them. And as you get older, you're supposed to get better, right? At not making mistakes, at not being so negative. I think the bottom line is supposed to be that by the time you leave this planet, what they call death, you're supposed to be a better person. You're supposed to have learned at least the majority of the lessons that a human being would learn here on this planet. Now, due to certain social circumstances in certain class, people are born in certain classes. Whether you're upper class or middle class or lower class or working class or whatever you want to call it, you learn different lessons. Everybody's here to learn different lessons, and then we're here, born as different races. Unfortunately, we're born here different colors. Well, I can't say unfortunately, because I don't think the ultimate creator, the supreme being, considers it to be an unfortunate circumstance to be born a certain ethnic culture or a certain ethnic background. I think the supreme creator created it to be that way, because if it wasn't supposed to be that way, it wouldn't be that way. That's in my view of things. But because we're born here at certain ethnic backgrounds and ethnic origins, we have different experiences. But those different experiences somehow culminate into the same lessons. Like, we all learn the same lessons, just different ways of learning them. You know what I mean? Like, you might have a Chevy, a Ford, and a Hyundai, right? They're all cars. So they're going to experience the same thing, driving. You're going to experience the same thing, driving. But with this Hyundai or with this Chevy or with this Ford, the Ford might be the Chevy might be a luxury vehicle. It might be a luxury Chevy. The Ford might be just a pickup truck, a rusty pickup truck. You know what I mean? So it's just grimy. It's just, you know what I mean? is going to experience the more rougher side of life because it's a pickup truck. It's supposed to be used for work. It's supposed to be used for, terrain, tackling terrain. You don't take a luxury vehicle to tackle terrain. You know what I mean? Or tackle the toughest terrain. You don't take a luxury vehicle to do that. You'll ruin it. And the Hyundai might just be something, just regular old average car. Just old regular average car. You know what I mean? So you're gonna experience different modes of driving, but they're all cars. So we're all human beings, but we have different levels of experience. So that's just part of me getting back to the origin of conversation, or the nucleus of the conversation is, I don't consider myself born here as a negative individual. I was born as a positive individual. Unfortunately, the circumstances and the situations around me weren't always positive and weren't always conducive to my growth. And therefore, I ended up learning some things that I shouldn't have learned. And I ended up seeing some things in my environment I shouldn't have saw. And I repeated those behaviors. And in me repeating those behaviors, I made what people would call mistakes or faults or flaws, and did some things that I shouldn't have done. Now, how I express those things tend to piss people off. What I mean by piss people off is that, like I said, I used to do music. And in me doing music, I express those things in my music because I was told a long time ago that that's what you're supposed to do. That if you're given the gift of music, or you're given the gift of art, or you're given the gift of being able to express yourself, and that gift is extraordinary or beyond average, you're supposed to use that gift to give back. And giving back meaning that you tell your life story. Some of the best music on this planet that was ever made, or some of the best art that was ever made, or anything creative that was ever made, was made from someone who gave their personal experience or their personal perception or their world view based on an experience that they had, a personal experience that they had. They write from experience. They write from something that they have seen, or something that they have done, or something that they have seen somebody else do, or something around in their environment. Some of the best music is based off of that. Why is it the best music? Because many people relate to it. Once again, we're all born here, maybe different ethnic backgrounds, but we all experience the same things. We experience the same things, but those same things may not be. I'll say it like that. We experience the same things, but those same things may not be spoken about in the same ways. So therefore, people listen to these different artists or look at the different art, or look at the different creative products or results of products that people put out, and they say, I relate to that. I can understand that. It may not be the same way that I've experienced it, but I relate to what that person is saying because I can get something out of it. Just like I got something out of the real life experience that I had, I get something out of this person expressing their art form of the same experience, right? So again, I tend to used to put that into my art form. Am I still doing that art form? No, I'm not. Why is that? Because the art form has been. Certain people believe that the art form should be a certain way, or should be done a certain way, or you should speak it. You can't speak about this. You can't speak about that. This you're supposed to do with it. That you're supposed to do with it. You're supposed to get this paid. You're supposed to get paid this amount of money for it, or not. So I left it alone.